Hey metalheads, welcome to another episode of Metal Academics. Band review, who's the band?
Nightwish.
Nightwish. I'm open. I haven't listened to them in a while, but I remember I stopped listening. Well, I never really started listening to them because I wasn't a fan. I know they have a huge YouTube audience.
Not only like a concert followership and so on.
So I will pay attention. I'm interested to hear, but I will not automatically like them like some other reaction channels.
I think there's a little bit of a storytelling going on in order also to give the band justice, because I think one of the most important things to say is exactly what you prefaced with. Nightwish are the biggest name in, let's call it symphonic metal, we'll discuss labels and so on later, on YouTube and in terms of sold discs, sold tickets, anything. They're just like dominating. In a sense, they're bigger than Iron Maiden or some of the classic, but not bigger than Metallica, but comparatively speaking, Metallica and Nightwish have the similar amount of numbers behind them, which is, again, kind of a surprise to me because, like you, I've never really been loving them. I have a friend who really, really loves them. Hi, Katerina. This is also for you. And again, I've been exposed to this and people encouraged me to listen, but somehow whatever I randomly picked never really clicked with me. So I decided that after so many of you guys in the comments, most recently Stefan VDA, I heard you very clear, very loud. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. If they're so popular, if they're so big, there is a story to be told. And I dug into it. I'll minimize it. But the story starts in 1996. And that's also why they managed to have this ramp up. They're old. They're Finnish. They're from a small town in middle northern Finland. And they are a group of three, like a Brothers of Metal, but only three as opposed to eight. And we are talking about the main composer of the band to this day. His name is Tuomas Holopainen, excuse again my Finnish. And then the main guitarist, the same person, who goes by Empu, thankfully, a little bit. And then the third member is no longer in the band, but probably one of the most famous former members, Tarja Turunen.
Which is female.
The female.
I remember them having a female lead, and I remember thinking them almost being roughly vocal-wise similar to Evanescence. Or at least I remember at a point in time when both Evanescence and Nightwish were big. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think, and in a sense, correct, but Nightwish predates. And in a sense, that's what the beauty of it. They are really trendsetters. When they started making music, whatever became, or we treat today as being kind of normal and almost to be expected, they were the pioneers. Almost the only ones, maybe one or two bands, I'm not going to go into that, but roughly there was no one who did it better than them at the time, which is late 90s, early 2000s. So that's something that to keep in mind, that maybe we're not so impressed with that right now, but if we place that in the time context, they were really creative, really mind-blowing. So before talking too much, which I may risk doing, I invite you all to start the journey with an very early song from their album Ocean Born. And again, I really like most of the songs from this album, which I never listened to before. Before starting doing this episode research, I have not listened to Ocean Born. But I decided that in the end, I will choose a song called the Pharaoh Sails for Orion. The Pharaoh Sails for Orion, and it's kind of a rhapsody type of title. And the reason why I chose it is because I love sailing, and my boat was called Orion. So this is the reason why in the end I chose this one. I could have just as easily picked the Devil and the Deep Dark Ocean. But in the end I went with this one. And something to keep in mind, this is again a very early album, but nevertheless we have this harsh vocal melodic sound introduction. So we will hear and see, because we are going to see a concert version, the harsh vocals of one of the former guys from Fintroll. His name is Tapio Vilska, and he is playing the harsh vocals in this version. And that was kind of a new thing back in the day. So the Pharaoh sails for Orion.
Cool. Let's hear it.
Let's see what you think of this. And yes, that's Taria on the female lead.
Cool costume.
Okay, Tampere. The time has come for you to show me what you got. You all know this one. This is a song of death and the ever-forgiving sky. This is a song called Pharaoh Sails to Orion!
So that was the Pharaoh sailing to Orion. And again, I have to double check somehow. I did not write down which year this Oceanborn album. Yes, 1998. Way, way, way back. People did not make music like this at the time. We just have to, remember. And I think Tarja is one of the very first metal singers with this opera lyric background.
And that's what I remember from listening to them. That really high pitch.
It's just like a totally different technique, right? Like you can hear this is operatic beyond the normal screaming. This is in another way, so like from the belly, right?
So what would you say is the defining feature of the band? Is it that operatic element, or is it the mixture between that and the growling, or is it the keyboards? What is
It's hard to pick, but I think from a majority of listeners, and again, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is the fact that there is a strong female lead. Tarja was in the band up until 2005 when she left. Basically, she was kicked out by the keyboardist, this Tuomas, the main composer. Lots of drama. Again, I'm going to skip a lot of this drama. It's like a lot of internal fight and stuff. But she left, and her replacement at the beginning was less operatic. But nevertheless, there were two replacements, and both of them had this strong voice. So even if it was less opera, it was still a very strong female voice as a lead. So that's definitely one marker. And the other one, I think, is the composition. Tuomas is the guy who has almost always composed the songs. The new bassist, Marco, who replaced Sami, that was still active in 1998, and we saw recently. Marco also composed some songs, but 90% I think is Tuomas, and he is the keyboard guy. So there's a lot of keyboards, and what people have called it film music. So this is metal film music, because Tuomas in several interviews declared film music to be his most important source of inspiration and admiration. So a lot of the most famous soundtracks, most famous songs are almost soundtracks, and they even made an album music and then released a film, Imaginarium it is called, just to give this filmic atmospheric. And so I think that's the two defining elements: female, very strong female voice, and this cinematic film inspired compositions.
Yeah, I could definitely see that voice being particularly powerful live, right? Like if you're seeing an opera or something, right? It's almost like you transcend your body in a sense.
She's very small, actually. The voice makes you think that she's like 3 meters, but she's like 1.60.
I think it was more her collar on her.
Yeah, she's opera, like she's a diva, and many people criticize her because she's a diva, not only because she's in opera, but she's like that kind of personality. Again, I don't think this is important for the music. I think she definitely, you can always recognize Tarja's voice, no matter where. Is like amazing projection and technique. So that was one, and that's kind of the marker. This strong keyboards, as well as you saw a big tower of keys. Also a little bit reminding in this early phase of Stratovarius and of Sonata Arctica, other two very famous Finnish bands that were contemporaries with Nightwish. So that was the opening. I'm moving on chronologically, but I'm not leaving completely Tarja space. I'm again checking my notes, because we're going to listen to another fantastic song from their early, again I think you can call it the early phase, from the album with the same name, Wishmaster. And the album is probably one of their most accomplished in terms of the album. So Wishmaster, they have not so many official videos in the early days. They only have official live videos. So we're always listening to the live version. There's not a huge difference between the live and the recorded in terms of the quality, but the live gives that extra, performance aspect. So next song on my list is again Wishmaster, and again I missed the year. Let me double check again which year. 2000. So that's 2 years after Oceanborn. It's definitely a more refined sound. So we're gonna see a fan video that uses footage, if you can say, from a movie called The Maleficent.
All right, we'll see if there's this cinematic.
And that's exactly the point, because again, there was no official video and everything else was live, and I didn't want to have 3 lives. So we'll see a fan video for Wishmaster.
Disciple in me, the Wishmaster. Master, apprentice, Hardborn, servant, savior. Orion, disciple in me, the Wishmaster.
Wishmaster from the same album.
Interesting. It's like, it reminds me of this, what was the band that made the metal opera a while back?
Well, there's several. Avantasia.
Avantasia, yeah, maybe that's one. I thought it started with an A. I was thinking Apocalyptica, but Avantasia.
Apocalyptica is another Finnish band, but
Yeah.
no, I think it's Avantasia you're thinking about.
I liked it. It was good.
Good guitar riffs.
Good guitars. That's exactly what I was thinking. And the female vocals are, you can tell, a beautiful voice. Almost seems like it really should be in a. I mean, it's great in the band, but it could also be obviously in like an actual opera. You know, like I get that vibe. I think just as personal preference from my end, right? This is both with Avantasia and this and Stradivarius and all these type of bands. The music is really serious. Is my impression. Like it's very like you can.
That's a difficult
you
story.
You get into this, right? You like if you really open up to it, you feel it in your bones, type of thing. So I get the appeal for that, but I love the guitars in this. But the whole cinematic vibe, to me, it's almost like it's very serious. I could be wrong, but when I listen to it, I'm like, you got to buy in 100% to. This is not music you just like. I don't know. Put on as you're just like driving in the middle, you know, like in the open road. Like I'm sure you listen to it while you're driving, right? But
it's an album thing. So if
yeah,
you listen to the album, you'll also get it.
You take it in, and listening to it now. It's been many years since I've listened to Nightwish. I can see the dedicated following, right? Because you buy into this music. This is not something you like flip on while you're.
Doing the dishes.
I was going to say not if you were just like taking a shower, but then maybe that helps with mimicking Tanya's voice.
I doubt you do it.
But yeah, it's very serious. No cheese in this metal.
It's serious. It's Finnish, for fuck's sake. You know, this is serious business. This is dark, melodic, dramatic. You know, it's Finnish.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was thinking.
I don't know many Finnish parody bands.
I was thinking, who's another Finnish band with a powerful female lead, right? Battle Beast, and their music is much more sort of fun, upbeat, right?
You got me.
And so this is a bit.
They go against the stream, because these guys, Nightwish, Finnish, and they made it big from almost the get-go. So Oceanborn was a commercial success, and pretty much every subsequent albums in Finland made it to like whatever gold in terms of like the number of discs sold in a day or two. They were like boom. And then their success spread in the north, like Swedes and Norwegians, Danes loved it. Also, immediate platinum status in a week's time. Concerts sold instantaneously, even in the early days. And so you could see the appeal to a very broad audience, even though it's pretty metal, right? So remember, this is the early days, and you still hear a lot of guitars, a lot of riffs, a lot of heavy voice. Or, you know, like she can almost growl in this operatic way, but she's evil. You can feel it. This is an evil force, right? That's why I thought the fan video was pretty good. So I will save my comments for the last bit, so people who really will hate me don't have to see all the songs. You can go skip straight to the comments. I don't think it's hateful anyway, but I think it's my honest interpretation in terms of the evolution of the band. And again, I'm no music critic, nor did I study at the Conservatory of Arts, but I think what we can see is that Tuomas, the major composer, simply has moved musically in a different direction with the years. And I think this is admirable. I hate a band who just like stays exactly the same. And some people don't like this new direction, and so they drop out. And some people love it or even love it more, and they join in or stick around. But I realized that I never really fell in love with Nightwish because I always started with the later albums, and I never went all the way back. And Oceanborn definitely has me, and Wishmaster, again, the whole album is really very good. And the third song we're going to listen is also an old one. It's actually the song that is their most successfully commercial success, and is called Nemo. And it's very funny because people always think about the cartoon.
That's exactly what I thought, Finding Nemo.
At concerts, I was reading on different forums while documenting for this. People come with, you know,
Dorothy, the
fish.
Dorothy
And Nemo. They're like throwing it on the stage. but the actual meaning is more profound. So it's simply a coincidence that Nemo the film, Finding Nemo the film, and Nemo the actual song were released almost at the same time, because Nemo is from Latin and it means no one. So it's like, Captain Nemo from Jules Verne, it means Captain No One. It could be anyone.
Classic Odysseus.
And the interesting part is, and why people also make this connection is because Tuomas has said several times that his biggest inspiration is Disney. Music from the long play cartooned animated features from Disney. So his dream is to direct the music, to make the composition of a Disney film. So again, I think this is why people originally make this connection, but there is no connection. It's simply coincidence. Anyway, the third song.
Can't imagine Disney toddlers listening to this.
Yeah, it's I don't know what exactly. Again, Thomas is a very creative guy, right? So he had
something different, right?
Something completely out of the ordinary. So the third song we're going to listen to is also from the old days. Is actually from my favorite album called Once. And I had the hardest time to pick one song from this album. Planet Hell was a very, 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 very strong contender. So I strongly recommend you guys to go check it if you haven't listened to this in a while. Also, probably the most loved on YouTube, Ghost Love Story, is also there. Very good album altogether. But I went with Nemo because it's also... I have some personal memories. I've listened to this and enjoyed it even before doing this review and even before digging into Nightwish specifically. Also, to say like we're going to listen not to Tarja. So it's a long story, a lot of drama again, but in the end, the band found a replacement for a permanent replacement. They had a Swede, Annette Olsson, for some years. That didn't work out either. But in the end, they found a replacement from 2013 onwards. Her name is, now again, I'm just double checking because I have a tendency to Swedify Dutch names, and I should try to avoid it. Her name is Floor Jansen, and again, she's Dutch, comes from the band After Forever, where she showed impressive vocal capacities, different than Tarja, but definitely in her own amazing metal female lead. And so we're listening to a song that was written for Tarja for the Once album, but in the interpretation of Floor Jansen. So let's hear it. This is from their Wacken concert of 2013, the first time when Floor performed with a band, the introduction, in a sense, to the band, to the fans, rather, of Floor.
Cool.
So she's impressive. She's probably, again, you'll see her and then we can talk about that. But it's a great song.
Without an honest heart, compass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her vocals better,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, totally metal, and she's fantastic. And again, this is where I stop and warn amazing Nightwish fans that you will hear some critical, words from me. Not critical in a sense, I don't like it or I hate it or something like this, but just like marking what I think happened, namely two things. One, Tuomas. His musical preferences moved, as I said before, in another direction. As you could see here, there was a guy playing the flute, various wind instruments. His name is Troy, if I'm not mistaken. He's an official new member of the band, or old new member of the band, which signals this kind of folk music reorientation. If we look at the latest release, Human Nature, a lot of the songs are very folk music oriented, very soft, with a lot of, a lot of wind instruments in them. And what we can also see, as there's more wind instruments and there's a lot of orchestration around, a lot of synth and a lot of background music, we see the shorter and shorter riffs from Empu. So it's kind of a inverse proportionality. The more we hear, flute and keys, the less we hear drums. And I mean, we hear the drums here, of course, but the less drums and the less guitars and the less bass we hear in the compositions. And that's, I think, a natural evolution for Tuomas, but also something that makes me not want to play a lot of the recent albums. It has nothing to do with who is the main singer, because a huge discussion among the Nightwish fandom is who's a better singer? Is it Tarja? Is it Floor? Is it Annette, the one in the middle? For me, they're amazing singers, all of them, and they're doing great. But because the music is composed by one guy primarily, and because they're forced to inhabit this space, they can only do that much. Yeah, and the last thing I say is that Floor's voice is amazing, but I think Tuomas doesn't really use her always at the highest capacity. The latest album, though, Human Nature, uses her more, but in compositions that are very, very beautiful, but in my opinion, not metal. They're just not metal. They're beautiful music, maybe beautiful symphonic metal film music, but they're not really. For Metal Academix, we're a metal channel. So that's the reason why I said we're not going to listen to that, because they're not metal. It's beautiful, and I see why it appeals to a wider range. I listen to it too, but it shouldn't be associated so much with metal music, in my opinion.
Yeah, but metal should be defined how we shouldn't define. Anyways, my 2 cents is
How did you like these ones?
It's better than I remember, for sure. And
but you were listening to them, because again, I did not listen to so much because
I didn't listen to them. I was never really interested, and I think the reason is this. And there was a sign from one of the people in the crowds that pointed this out, like, Thomas, thank you for giving us emotions. And the question is, what are you listening to music for, right? And I can see, if you want to get deep into your head and feel something, and it's actually interesting because I remember associating Nightwish with emo back in the day, and that just could be because they're from Finland and a lot of Finns kind of wear emo type stuff, right? But visual signifiers aside, I think this is a very like, if you're listening to this album, you're listening to this band, you want to tap into something, and I think like that's probably why they have such a hardcore following, because the band and the music they produce gives them something,
an emotional connection.
An emotional connection. Like the operatic part, right? As I said, like it sort of sinks into your bones and it does stir some emotions. Me personally, I'm trying to think of the band that would closest to that for me, and that would be Falconer. And it's a similar thing where I think Matthias Blad, the lead singer of Falconer, has an amazing voice, a beautiful voice. It does create some emotions in you, right? But I'm personally like, do you want to listen about crushing your enemies and just get some power out of the music, or do you want to like turn into your inner self and really become part with the music, which I feel is kind of what Nightwish delivers.
I don't understand almost any of the lyrics.
I don't understand what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm making sense or not, but I don't know. I feel like
I like it. I like the compositions and I like the guitar. Again, the songs that we showcased on the channel, I think all of them are really, really good. Metal songs with lots of guitars, good compositions, strong lead voices. And again, I think it's a matter of preference. I don't really like the development of the band. Of course, there's here and there songs that I really enjoy, but it's not a point of highlighting that. But the music is solid, definitely. Also, again, I don't want to be too materialistic, but obviously there's also the commercial success aspect. These guys are bigger or on the same ground as Metallica, and many people criticize Metallica also for softening up or for
Yeah, they got soft real quick.
so on and so forth. Well, not.
You can't be an 80s thrash band forever. I know.
And basically, that's what Nightwish also says. That you cannot be an epic metal band forever if you still want to appeal to a wider audience, and that's also fine. But we still have the old albums to listen to, and I think they're really very good. Again, you guys who are fans, more recent fans of Nightwish, I strongly recommend you guys to go back and listen to their early stuff because it's really amazing. Again, Floor does a very good job at concerts to take some of the old songs and give them new life and new interpretation. I think there's not so much lost, but there's some songs where Tarja is the queen, the siren among others. But anyway, so that was
That's
yeah.
a good,
He's so good.
I don't know the song, but that's a good kind of analogy.
Oh, she also on Ocean Bound and on Once. There's several siren songs, and there's one called The Siren, which is again amazing. But you don't want to play all the songs from one album, so I didn't do that. But definitely to listen, add that to your playlist, or listen to our playlist on Spotify if you are away from YouTube for a second. Obviously, let us know in the comments what you thought. I'm putting on my armor, I'm putting on my helmet, and I'm ready for all your critique.
Go ahead and hit me because I don't get that emotional. But yeah, I see the appeal. It's not personally for me, but yeah, I mean, more power to it. I think it's an interesting. I like the blend of operatic and some really good guitar riffs in there. So it was cool.
It was cool. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you want to listen more on this channel. And in the meantime,
May your sword stay sharp.
and your quest end in glory.